Another important way to study metabolic pathway is by using tracers. Tracers are substances which will help you to trace a particular pathway. So there are different tracers that can be used. So this whole concept was developed in, let us say, in 1904 by a scientist known as Franz Knupp. So Franz Knupp was interested in understanding metabolism of fatty acid. He was looking at how fatty acids are oxidized in our body. So what he did, he took a fatty acid, at the omega carbon atom, he added a phenyl group. At the omega carbon atom, added a phenyl group. So he took two kinds of fatty acids. One is an odd number, that is a phenylated valeric acid. Then he took this, so therefore this will have it's an odd number fatty acid. Then he also took butyric acid, phenylated butyric acid. At the omega carbon atom, it was phenylated. Then these were given to dogs, and because the metabolic end product is hippuric acid. So looking at the end product, collecting this end product from the urine sample of dogs, he was able to say that from the end product, it is a 2 carbon unit is removed. A 2 carbon unit is removed in the oxidation of fatty acid. Later on, he proved that this 2 carbon unit is nothing but acetyl-CoA is removed. How painstakingly the scientists develop or try to elucidate using their intellect in the different pathways. That is what we needed to appreciate. So it happened in 1904. Now later on, different tracers were used. Radioactive tracers. Okay. For example, radioactive tracers. These are radioactive substances. So among radioactive tracers, there are two kinds. One is a stable radioactive tracer. Another one is they are radioactive. For example, if the stable ones are they will increase the molecular weight of a substance. Wherever these radioactive stable isotopes are attached, it will increase the molecular weight of a substance. For example, you have carbon 13, you have nitrogen 15, you have oxygen 18. All this will increase in the molecular weight of a substance. Now, these tracers were used in order to establish or in order to identify pathways of electron transport system. O18 was used. N15 was used, classic example of semi-conservative replication discovered by Messelson and Starr. So they used N15 labeled bases in order to establish the semi-conservative replication. So what will happen? If the newly synthesized DNA which has incorporated N15 will be slightly heavy. So therefore, when your density gradient simplification is carried out, in the heavy N15 labeled DNA will be at the lower position, and this is N14 labeled DNA will be at a higher position. Then these can be determined by other techniques like mass spectroscopy, etc. can be used in order to determine the structure of these molecules. Another interesting use of the stable isotope is in the discovery of porphyrin, which is there in the structure of heme. In order to find out what is the source of nitrogen, they have labeled all amino acids by using N15. And finally they drew the conclusion that it is N15 labeled glycine which is responsible. That is the amino acid needed for synthesizing heme. See what all laborious steps they carry out in order to establish a particular metabolic pathway. There is a similar story in identifying the synthesis of cholesterol. So how it was proved that it is acetyl-CoA that is the starting material for synthesizing cholesterol. Radioactive isotopes, they are also used in order to trace pathways. Especially, C14 is used in order to trace a pathway. The pentose phosphate pathway was elucidated by C14. So this radio-labeled carbon gets incorporated at a particular place, and then that molecule, where exactly it got incorporated, it is traced. So that is how the TCA cycle it was discovered. The cholesterol metabolism was discovered by using C14 labeled radioactive substance. Other classic examples were Dorothy Hodgkins used cobalt, radio-labeled cobalt, in order to identify the structure of vitamin B12. And we should not forget the contribution of Rosalind Yalow in the radio immunoassay. What is important for us to remember in this use of tracers is other chemical methods may be able to detect roughly about 10 raised to the power 6 to 10 raised to the power 9, 6 to 10 raised to the power 9 molar concentration. Whereas radio labels, if you carry out radio labeling, you are able to detect this is 10 raised to the power minus 12 to 10 raised to the power minus 15 molar. Such minute level variation that happens, you are able to trace by using these techniques. Very, very powerful methodology in order to trace metabolic pathways. Another important methodology they use for elucidating metabolic pathway is in the use of structural analogues. So, structural analogues. So, what are these structural analogues? They look similar to one of the intermediates which are or a cofactor which is used in a particular reaction. A classic example in the use of structural analog is in glycolysis itself. In the sixth step of glycolysis, the step is glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate is converted to 1,3-bis-phosphoglycerate. So you also produce and NADH is produced in this step plus H plus, okay, and subsequently an ATP is produced and inorganic phosphate is added. We are going to use a structural analog here, and this is catalyzed by an enzyme known as glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. Dehydrogenase is the enzyme. In the structural analog which we will use is, instead of inorganic phosphate, we will use arsenate. So arsenate looks very similar to inorganic phosphate. So what will happen? This arsenate gets included in the substrate, and the product that is forming is 1-arseno 3-phosphoglycerate is the product which is formed. Now this 1-arseno 3-phosphoglycerate is unstable. It is unstable and effectively it will uncouple the oxidative phosphorylation from ATP production. Now this step will not produce an ATP molecule. So by using these kind of structural analog, one is able to identify, elucidate a particular metabolic pathway.